I say, what are the major impacts of these mass relocations of people moving from United States, a lot of European countries as well, into all of these
Mhm.
developing countries, and now they have these expat hood, like these communities of expats living in
Hmm.
these developing
And it seems like
countries.
Mexico
How
City,
are they impacting everything around them?
and
Yeah,
Mexico City
right,
seems like the
right.
big
How
one too. Yeah.
Mexico City is a huge expat hub,
Hmm.
um, but I'm not sure if people understand exactly how they're impacting the country and the city when they come down there. So, like, real briefly, like, what's generally happening when this happens?
Sure. So, real quick context, I'd say Mexico City started getting in the map during the pandemic. One, the pandemic policies that we had exacerbated this. We didn't close. We never closed. And I know, Jamal, we were talking about this.
Right.
We could not afford to close. Almost 10% of Mexican GDP is
Mm.
tourism,
Sheesh.
right?
That makes sense.
So in the pandemic comes, other countries are closing. Mexico says, no, we cannot close. So it was one of the few countries that you could still travel to if you didn't get vaccinated, and that they were very relaxed.
Yeah,
And
everybody
obviously,
was going to Tulum and Playa.
exactly, I'm tired of being inside my apartment, working from home. I'm gonna go to Tulum, and it created this hype around Mexico, specifically Mexico City, where digital nomads started saying, "Oh my goodness, where has this been all my life?"
Yep.
Um, uh, and modesty aside, Mexico City is beautiful. You have, as I'm sure you guys saw, there's kind of a European feel,
Yep.
and also there's the Latin American history and Hmm. culture. You can visit the pyramids like an hour away from the city.
Yep.
Um, so it has amazing music scene, amazing
Amazing
culinary
food.
scene.
Food, yeah. Oh,
Exactly. So all of this with this era that we live in, with TikTok influencers and Instagram influencers, these are the five bars you should visit in Condesa. These are the five mezcalerias you should visit. These are the five street tacos you should eat. Netflix came out also with Taco Chronicles. I don't know if you saw it.
oh nah, I
Uh,
didn't. I
Yes.
have to watch it now.
so I strongly recommend it. Watch it after you eat, or otherwise you're going to be very hungry. Each episode is describing a taco in
Okay.
Mexico. But so all of these things happen in 2020, and people started going to Mexico City. And
Sheesh.
now, one, you're starting to hear more English than Spanish in some locations.
Yes, especially on Roma.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Especially in Roma. I'd say
And that's
Condesa
true.
it's also getting there.
Canessas, yeah.
And getting back to the original question, how is it impacting? So gentrification, right? In some cases, and I'll look for the article and I'll send it to you guys after. Prices have gone up by 60% in rent,
Sixty
right?
percent is
Sixty
crazy.
percent in one year. So obviously, and this isn't one like, oh my God, no, stop visiting Mexico. Yeah, we don't want Americans. No, but like always, it's nuance. It's never just white or it's never just black. There's nuance. Um, some Mexicans, obviously, especially the ones that are having to move out because of this, are very mad.
Yep.
Obviously,
Mhm.
Obviously,
they're
yeah.
getting kicked out. They're
Rightfully
getting
so.
kicked out of the neighborhoods. They're getting all of the prices are going up, right? Um, Not only that, but also some of the Airbnbs they've started seizing this as an opportunity, right? Or some of the landowners or apartment owners are like, hey, you know what? I'm going to jack up the prices. I'm going to kick out my current tenants, and I'm going to make it into an Airbnb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one, I think, how do we solve this? Knowing about it, first of all, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Hmm.
Knowing about it, I think it's one, definitely a domestic issue. I think Mexico City politicians they should be analyzing this, seeing if there's a way that you could both, okay, still incentivize tourism to come at the same time protecting the locals,
Hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
But like I mentioned, it's not necessarily what you do, it's
How you
how
do it?
you do it, right?
Yes. Agreed.
So, okay, we know this is happening, and some communities or have even started posting little posters around Condesa, like "Gringos no vengan," like
Really?
Yeah, Americans stop moving in,
Mm.
So it's very real.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think, okay, the tourism should stop. I think it's good for the country. I think the investment that's coming, obviously the money that the tourists bring. But one, how can we rectify that? Well, if you're starting a startup in Mexico, hire locally. Obviously look for the talent, but how can you hire locally? Two, don't just focus your search in Roma and Condesa. There's other places that are also very, very nice. They're quaint, they're safe, and you don't necessarily just have to live there, right? Three, don't only go to Mexico City. And this is always with a grain of salt because like, oh my God, now it might cause gentrification in other cities, right? But what we're trying to do is alleviate it. There's two cities. One is called Monterrey, and the other one is called Guadalajara. They're starting to come up as tech
Mm.
hubs, especially for software engineers,
Oh
right?
yeah, some of my coworkers live in the Monterrey.
In Monterrey, exactly. And our friend Elon Musk, he is setting up shop in Monterrey for
Wow.
Tesla's factory, right? So there's this whole entire, and I'm gonna send you a couple articles. There's this whole entire movement that's happening in Mexico. Not only Mexico City, but I'd say the other two big industrial cities, which is Guadalajara and especially Monterrey up north,
Yeah.
because of the situation with China,
Ah,
right? Have you gentlemen heard about the term nearshoring?
no.
No, please enlighten us.
So, and this is fascinating. I think us Mexicans, we sometimes are just lucky. The situation with the current president, and I'm not going to make this a political conversation, but just summing up, it's not ideal. There's been a lot of white elephant projects. The economy hasn't been managed the best way, but because of the Ukraine war, because of the way that China has handled it, America has started to look for another trading
Hmm.
partner. It has started to say, you know what, I don't want to rely that much with Chinese commerce, right?
Mm,
And the natural partner is
Right.
Mexico. And it has not only been the United States, and that's the concept of nearshoring. How can we bring operations that we once had in
Hmm.
China? How can we bring it closer? Chinese firms are starting to move to Mexico as well. There have been multi-million dollar deals of factories, again, especially up north, because they're starting to see, wow, listen, if this situation in China, it's very uncertain. We don't know what happens. Obviously, we still want to have access to the American market. We need to have our factories stable. Let's go to Mexico.
right.
Something interesting as well. I lived in Mexico City from 2018 to 2022. Not once did I meet an Indian while I was there for 4 years. This past summer, in 1 week, I met 5 Indians,
Jeez.
and all of them living in Mexico City.
Really?
So now Indians are starting to move, either from Bangalore or from Delhi. They're coming to Mexico City. Either they're opening up shop for
Hmm.
IT
Of course.
companies. They're starting a startup because
Right.
again, India is very similar to Mexico, especially with the bottom of the pyramid, except that India is like 10
The
times the
size. Yeah.
population, quite
Yeah.
literally. And
Yeah.
It's huge.
to put it, India is the entire population of the African continent in one country, 1.4
Nah,
billion
Jesus.
it's
people.
crazy. It's crazy.
Woo.
So they know a thing or two about scale
Right.
Scale.
and about
Absolutely.
solving bottom of the pyramid problems. But again, this is an opportunity. A lot of people are starting to move to Mexico, and I'd say Latin America as a whole, and they're starting to see it as an entryway into the American market for business.